stretch with just 6 to lose. Rays gotta win 22, no room for excuse. Every pitch counts in this final stretch. We feel that fire light like a burning wretch. 22 to glory, 6 losses left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live. Sweat and blood on the field, no time to be afraid. We chase that playoff dream in Twilight's last parade. Fans scream in the stands, we've got no choice but fight. The timing close at dusk, victory in our sight. 22 to glory, 6 losses left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live. Six losses left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live. Together we will live. Together we will live.
And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
This is your RBLR Rays show. I'm your host, Zach Dobb, with my co-host, Pat Davenport, with the awesome new graphics. Pat, how you doing?
I'm feeling funky. I'm feeling fresh. I love the new graphics. Shout out to producer Eureka for the overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
Some silent claps so I don't pop my microphone. You know how it is here in the podcast. It's an audio business. You know what I mean? We take it very seriously here at the RBLR network.
A lot of craftsmanship here.
Yeah, and I'm doing generally well. I've got like a double screen setup where I got the Rays and Padres currently playing a quite important game right now. So it's we're on a knife edge. We're on a knife edge. I shouldn't feel this nervous about a game on September 1st, but here we are. How are you doing, Zach?
Yeah, I'm doing great. And as much as it's not where I thought we would be, it is a little nostalgic to feel this way. This takes me back to Rays teams of yesteryear where we weren't as, of a juggernaut as we've been a couple of years in the past. This takes me back to maybe 2022 Rays baseball. And you know what? That's okay. Not every year is going to be we're just thinking about setting up our playoff rotation, and that's okay. That's baseball. And, I'm excited for the ride. Even if it doesn't end up going the way that we want it to go, it's going to be an exciting ride. And we're going to be here to talk about it with you all. We appreciate everybody who is here and watching with us today. We appreciate you all. We've got a stacked show. We're going to talk about the week that was in Rays baseball, as we always do. We're going to give you the bat and the arm of the week. We're also going to talk about a little bit of the playoff situation, where we are, where we hope to be going. And we're going to talk about where we are. As much as we talked about what we thought we would be, this is where we are. So we got to talk about that a little bit too. If you are watching us for the first time, thank you. We really appreciate you. If you would do us a huge favor and like the video or like us on whatever social media platform you are watching us on, it would mean a lot to us. If you're coming back, you guys are great. We appreciate you. If you're not following us already, you got to do that, because that's how you know when we're going live, as we like to do. And you know about all the awesome stuff that's coming down the pipe. So we appreciate everybody who's watching. And let's get right to it.
Yeah, let's talk right about the week that was in Rays baseball. It was we picked up the importance of the Mariners series that took place this week. We needed to kind of win that one, and we didn't. We didn't. We lost that series. We dropped the bookends and won the middle game. The offense really struggled, even across the whole series. Over the 3 games, we scored six runs across 3 games. So.
Yeah, well, and it really started with dropping the end of the Dodgers series, because it's one thing to get the getaway game from a series and you get into another series, lose the first game, you can come back from that. But when you lose that last game of a previous series and you lose the first game of the next series, you just get into a bad feeling. And luckily we were able to salvage the middle game of the series by the skin of our teeth, and then lose the last game. And so then you do that again where getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. You lose that last game against the Mariners, day off, lose the first game in fantastic fashion against the Padres. It was a week where we talked about, hey, we've only got maybe like 8 losses left, and we lost a bunch of games this week. So that was not ideal.
Yeah, since we said we got 8 losses left, we've lost 4 times. But we're gonna insert some copium here, and we're gonna change the goalposts a little bit. We're gonna say that actually maybe 90 wins isn't what we need to make the playoffs. We actually just need 88 wins.
And that's the thing about the playoff hunt, as you know, we haven't had to follow it. At least I haven't followed a playoff hunt this way on the show. Last year we were pretty good. It was whether we were winning the division or not, we were in the playoffs. So the thing about a playoff hunt is, as much any number that we say is going to be, hey, we got to get to this number, that is all subject to change. Right now, when you project out the winning percentage of the teams that are currently in playoff spots, you're looking at about an 88 to 89 win total will get you into the playoffs. 88 wins could get you in the playoffs. And more importantly, if you got those 88 wins, a lot of those wins are probably going to come against teams that would be in front of you, so you're going to win those tiebreakers. That's a really important thing. We're going to talk about it later in the show, but this is a very important week coming up in Rays baseball that's going to have a lot to say about how the rest of the season goes. But looking back over at the Seattle series, I think what was, a little disappointing was the pitching performances were not kind of what we've come to expect. In recent months, we've been saying the offense has been bad, but at least the pitching's been good. Pitching kind of wasn't good.
No, particularly from the rotation, I would say we were a little disappointed. Pepio had a rough start, and then we had to rely on Tyler Alexander, which is a symptom of Zach Littell currently being on the injured list.
Correct.
So when you're not putting your best guys out there, and this will be part of the reason we lost that first game of the Padres series as well, is like it's a luxury to be able to put your best guys out there all the time. Sometimes you can't do that, but when that happens, you leave yourself prone to losses like the ones we had on Wednesday, the one we had on Friday, and that kind of thing. And when you've got an offense that's struggling, you need your pitching to be nails. Otherwise, then you've got nothing, right? You can only really bank on this offense to score 3 runs, maybe 4 runs a game. Yeah, right. Like occasionally they'll explode for something, but realistically, you're going to need to, as the team is working at the moment, you need to hold the opponents to 4 runs or fewer.
Yeah.
On a game-by-game basis, which means your starters have to be good and your bullpen needs to be nails. And the bullpen was fine, but like the starters weren't there this week.
Yeah, and I think you make a really great point about the symptom of Littell being out is Tyler Alexander is pitching 4 1/3 and giving up 5 runs. That last game of that series, which you were hoping to kind of have turn it around in the last game of the series, give yourself a chance, evaporated almost instantaneously when Tyler Alexander came into the game and immediately gave up a bunch of runs, 4 runs to be exact, in his first inning of pitching. And he, you go with Rasmussen to start that game. He gives up an unearned run. You're kind of fine. Kelly comes in, does okay. Alexander comes in, and it just all goes downhill. And that's kind of the unfortunate story of a team that's had a lot of injuries and that's already a couple levels deep in their depth because of additional injuries that have happened and guys coming back. Obviously, in a different universe, we expected Drew Rasmussen to be starting and going much longer than those 2 innings. But this is where we are right now. This is the situation. I can't really blame Tyler Alexander too much. That is what he is. He might go out there and give you 5 and 1 or 2 runs. He might get blown up for 5. That's just kind of who he is. I can't really be mad at him for that. And I can't really be mad at any of the performances from a pitching perspective. Pepio's very young. He's going to get lit up every once in a while, so I'm not even that mad at his start to the series. What I think is the frustrating part is the fact that we're saying, hey, the offense is only going to get you maybe 2 to 3 runs max. That is, I think, where the frustration comes in as a fan.
Yeah, it is that's it for me. I think watching us take at bats almost all year has been the infuriating part. And it's infuriating not because I feel like we're underperforming offensively, like what we could be doing just because of bad sequencing and bad runners in scoring position results, right? Because they point to it on broadcasts all the time that we have so many opportunities with runners in scoring position. We are in the top echelons of the American League in terms of opportunities, at bats, plate appearances with runners in scoring position. But then when they're on, we're not driving them in. And that's what's infuriating. And that's what's prevented this team from going on a sustained run. That's the difference between getting a sweep instead of a series win. And that's the difference between winning a series instead of splitting a series. And that's why we've never been able to get out of this kind of 500 loop that we've been stuck in all year. For me, anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's what I think for me, and we're getting away a little bit from this season to talk about this, but what is the most concerning for me is when you look at that, I can't disagree with any of it. And when you look forward, the things that could fix that are, you really need some of these young guys who are playing right now to be a lot better next year. That's kind of the fix as we know it right now. And so that makes every at-bat, every game that you watch these younger guys play feel a little bit more important because you're kind of waiting and watching. Hey, Christopher Morel, what do you got? Can you be that guy? Hey, Junior, we've heard a lot about you. It's time to see if you can do it. And again, those guys are doing some good things. So it's unfair maybe to put that much pressure on them, but it's kind of where you're looking right now as a fan because next season's coming. The pitching staff is going to be in order. The question is, can the offense do anything to support that? And right now, even if the pitching was really, really good and it's been kind of okay, but even if it was amazing, you are still, going to be in a lot of trouble. Just in the month of August, the team lost 7 games where the pitching staff gave up 4 runs or fewer. That is a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that's it. And I don't know if it's not the problem with hitting is it's very rarely a team-wide thing, right? Because hitting is very individualized, like it's player to player, and what Yandy Diaz doesn't really have that much of effect on what Johnny DeLuca does, for example. So you can't just say the team needs to do this, or the Rays just are striking out too much, so we need to hire a hitting coach that'll tell us not to strike out as much. It's never that simple, is it? As
No.
much as the media would have you believe, I feel like the Mets for the longest time operated like that. Where they just said, the hitting's not working, fire the hitting coach. And there'll be people on social media that will say that. But I want to make it clear that it's a player-to-player thing. And right now, I just think the players we have outside of our kind of core group, so outside of Brandon Lau, Yandy Diaz, maybe Junior Caminero, the rest are super high variance hitters that are have not shown any evidence of being consistently good, which puts a lot more pressure on the good guys to perform, which could cause pressing, which can cause more chasing or swinging harder and therefore risking more swing and miss. And the only thing that the team can do as a whole is provide as a well-rounded a lineup as possible, so there's less pressure on the really good hitters to succeed. But like you said, the Rays are unlikely to make significant moves to shore up the lineup via free agency. Maybe they could make a trade here or there, maybe. But most of the answers are going to have to come from inside the house, which is a little scary. Because, like you said, Morel could be really good. Caminero could be really good. But they're all ifs, right? Like, it's not like we know Aaron Judge is going to be good. We know Juan Soto is going to be good. We know, like, Mookie Betts is going to be good. We've got very few sure things in our lineup right now, which is what's scary, because I don't want to enter 2025 if we're trying to get as many bites of the apple and be as competitive as possible. Going into 2025, the lineup has way too many maybes and cross your fingers to be like, hey, we can make the playoffs next year, unless, like, we win a bunch of coin flips.
And the thing that I'm interested to see the most maybe in the offseason is, does the team acknowledge that? Like, they're probably not going to say it as directly as we maybe are going to say it, but are they going to acknowledge that? And what's their plan to fix that? Right? Because in addition to, relying on a bunch of younger guys to perform, sort of the reason why we did that is because our core has shrunk.
Yes.
Like we before the season, we would have said the core was Yandy, Belau, Paredes, Randy, and then Josh Lowe is kind of core adjacent.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have said he was in the core at the beginning of the year. He had an injury, just had a bad year. I'm flushing it. I'm going to still say he's probably in the core. I think the team would say that. Right. But you traded two of those guys this season. And one of those guys has been hurt all year, really. It's an oblique. Anytime as soon as I heard that it was an oblique with Josh Law, I was like, you can basically just chalk the season up, throw it in the trash. If you have an oblique, it's going to stick around all season long. It's one of the things I've heard players talk about, like obliques just don't go away. So that just sort of is what it is. Like, you just got to kind of accept that. That's what the season was. So you basically shrunk your core by over 50%, and then you put a bunch of these new guys in, some of whom you think are going to hopefully be a part of your future core. Like Caminero, in the best case scenario, is a part of your future core, but we haven't seen him perform to that level yet. That being said, there are good things. Like, we've seen him play really well and have really good moments. The defense has been, I think, a little better than I expected. So that's good. And the hitting is clearly moving in the right direction. Like, you're seeing good things from him. And he's hitting the ball really, really hard, which we knew he was going to do. And these reps are very important for him, and I'm glad he's getting them. The concerns are exactly what you said, though. What could we do to improve this team in such a way that you raise the floor? Because what you did at the trade deadline is you traded your floor.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, you traded your floor away. So when you trade your floor away like that, you just have to kind of live with whatever comes afterwards. The thing that I want to see the most from the offseason, and we'll get to this more as the offseason actually approaches and we get into it, they need to do something to improve their floor. Because right now the floor is really, really low. Now the ceiling is higher than it was before the trade deadline, in my opinion. The ceiling is higher. However, the floor is so much lower. So going into the new season, I don't really feel comfortable. I mean, and I'm not Eric Neander, so who cares what I think? But I'm not comfortable going into the season with the floor being this low.
It's not the floor of a team that is any better than the current team. Like, I know that sounds obvious when you're like, hey, if we run it back, we'll be no better. But it's because you'd expect as players get more experience, the variance decreases. But these players that we're bringing onto the team are still very young. And we're not at the point where they're going to be like rounding out their harsh edges yet. Like, a month of September at bats is not going to make Junior Caminero a finished product. It's not going to make Christopher Morel a finished product. We still don't know what the heck's going on in left field and who's going to be there opening day 2025. We've got a bunch of like okay players trying out for it, whether it's DeLuca, Palacios, or Carlson at the moment. Like that again, I don't see them making a leap in 2025 that makes you go, oh, it's solved. So I think the areas that can be easily fixed are obvious. We talked about this, I think, last week, where like left field feels like an obvious area that you could plug in a bat and you could do something there. Even center field, that's a bit harder. Defense is more important than hitting in center field.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to find the right player for that. Shortstop, I think the Rays will likely just tank the Taylor Walls damage in terms of hitting in a trade-off for his defense. In hopes, because for two reasons. One, Taylor Walls is a good enough defender that they value the run prevention over the run producing. Two, the free agent market. Willy Adames is the only shortstop that would make your team tangibly better on the market, and you would not buy him. One, because he'd be too expensive. Realistically, I think he might get some good money, but two, whoever you would get to fill a shortstop position, you'd ideally want a stopgap to wait until Carson Williams turns up, and he's in AAA right now, so he could be on a major league roster as soon as, I don't know, midpoint next year. I don't know if it'll be that soon, but it could be. So you wouldn't want to sign Willy Adames to a 4-year contract just to do what you did in his first stint, where you have him play shortstop until a cooler prospect comes up, and then you trade him away again. So
I feel like that would just be a bad omen, honestly, to bring him back in, have him play the exact same role. I just feel like I don't want to put that energy on Carson Williams at all. So, and you make a really, really good point that there's really no point in, making an adjustment at shortstop, because you're not going to get anybody defensively better, and the improvements offensively are going to be so marginal that it doesn't make that much of a difference. I don't think you're going to find anybody out there who's better than like Cabby. Like who are you going to find that's really that much better than Caballero? Like you're or Rosario, right? Like you're just like they're just not out there. That at least not this year, unless you make some kind of a significant trade, which again doesn't really make much sense. Unless I guess you included Carson Williams in a deal for an established shortstop. That'd be the only thing that I could see them doing. But even that seems like probably not what the Rays would do. It's not really their MO. That feels very un-Rays like. Yeah. But that's the only scenario where I think you are making a significant move at shortstop. So that's just kind of whatever. We're like, that's fine. It's the outfield. That's where you can make a significant improvement, is in the outfield. And, there are guys, we'll get into this more in the offseason. There are guys out there. I did some looking around. There's 3 guys that I've got my eye on that I think you could get. 1, you're probably not going to, but 2, I think you could. Okay. I'll just leave that as a teaser, and maybe and if you guys want to come back to find out who I'm interested in for the offseason. I'm just going to take a quick break to say the umpire in this game is terrible. There's been several times that Pepio should have struck guys out, and the umpire is just bad. So I just wanted to say that.
I think that was worth saying, to be honest.
I really I can't. I am so ready for automatic balls and strikes personally. I know it's kind of like, the integrity of the game and the history. Like, I don't really care. I'm ready for automatic balls and strikes. Give me dudes that don't know how to frame anything and are just sitting back there with a cannon. Like, I'm ready. Like, I think that's way more entertaining. Like, let's do it.
Well, looking at you, Ben Rortvet.
Yeah, there's not much call for Ben Rortvet's in the new MLB that's going to be coming along, but that's okay. We like him right now. We like him for what he is. He is what he is, and that's okay. We talked about the Mariners series enough. There's not a whole lot to talk about with the Padres series, unfortunately. I guess there is one big thing probably to discuss with the Padres series, and that's the first game went really bad. The second game went really well. And the third game is occurring right now. The reason why the first game went so poorly is Taj Bradley got lit up again.
Yeah, we do need to have an honest discussion about Taj Bradley now.
So let's talk about it. What's going on with Taj Bradley?
So it's basically Taj Bradley has the arsenal of a good reliever, but has to go through a lineup 3 times. Is basically what it is. He's got 2 pitches that he's really good at throwing and can throw consistently. in the strike zone and out the strike zone, and they like translate well stuff wise. Which, if you're a reliever who has to face like 3 batters, that's great. You'll be lights out. Like, think of every good reliever ever. It's usually like a fastball slider or a fastball curveball or a fastball splitter. In Taj Bradley's case, it's a fastball splitter. He throws a really good fastball splitter. He doesn't really have a third pitch, so if you're a hitter and you can get like stuffed by his fastball or splitter, and you go, that pitch is really, really tough to face. His fastball's nails, man. Like, he threw me 100 on the bottom outside corner, right on a dot. I don't know what to do with that. Okay, next at bat, I'll just wait till he throws the splitter and spit on everything else. And because like his command is like fine, but it's not like so elite that you can go, if I just spit on the fastball, I don't think he'll always throw it in the zone, so I won't get caught looking, right? So I'll just wait for a splitter. He'll eventually throw one in a bad spot. Boom. It's timed up because you're not waiting for any other pitch. You're not having to adjust for any other pitch. Or you could do that for the fastball. If his splitter's giving me fits, fine, I'll just wait for the fastball. And I know how fast his fastball is, so I'll just wait and bang. That's how it works. Taj Bradley, he's got a 2-pitch mix. He is working as a starter, though, so hitters see him so much that they can adjust to his stuff and just pick a pitch with his 2 and just sit on it and bop it. And that's why he was really good for a stretch, because they were like, whoa. But then, when you've got a limited arsenal, the more you get seen, the less fun a 2-pitch arsenal is. And that's why all the good starters have at least 3 pitches. Yu Darvish has like 8. So you got to have more if you're a starter, and Taj does not have that. Is that how you view the Taj situation, or is that just my opinion?
So I agree. I think that's a huge part of it. I think the other thing, and I think this speaks to as well what my initial question has been over the past couple of weeks is, well, what happened? In May and July, he was super good, and now he's super bad. What happened? And there's a great tweet out there by a guy named Lance. I'm going to try to pronounce his name, Brozdowski, where he posted a heat map of Taj Bradley's fastball. In May and July, it's up here. In August, it's down here. That's a big part of it too. His fastball plays really well elevated in the zone. It just does. It's got that kind of spin where if it goes up like that, it's hard to make contact with. If he places it firmly up at the top of the zone, it's hard to make contact on. It generates a lot of whiffs. If he's putting his fastball up at the top of the zone, he's in a really good place. Once it bleeds down into the strike zone, it does not play well down there. The velocity isn't there enough. There's not really enough movement on it to get hitters off of it. It just kind of goes into the middle of the strike zone and gets lit up. That's another huge part to why he's been so bad recently, is the fastball has dropped. Now, if you're guessing of, well, why isn't he just throwing his fastball at the top of the strike zone, Zach? Well, that's hard, first of all. And second of all, he is getting into the upper echelons of his pitch limits, I would say, or his innings limits, because he's still very young. These are his first couple seasons where he's pitching. I'm trying to remember if he's pitched his most innings so far. I'm going to try to look that up while I'm talking, but he's getting up there. And I think that is affecting his ability to keep his fastball at the top of the strike zone, where he would surely like it to be, but he just hasn't been able to keep it up there. And I think that is also hugely contributing. As I speak, he is currently above his innings max in his career this season. Yeah. He's at 109 and 2/3. His previous high was 104 and 2/3. So that's part of why he's having a tough time keeping that fastball at the top of the zone. Now, that being said, my question, and I have an opinion on this too, is, are we okay with Taj going out there every 5 days or whatever, getting lit up in the service of, if we want him to be a part of this rotation long term, we need him to build up his innings limit so he can do that for a full season? Are you fine with them running him out there every time his name in the rotation comes up, even though we kind of know the outcome?
It's a complicated answer. So I guess the way I see it is, if we send Taj Bradley down, someone's going to take his spot in the rotation. Who would you be comfortable with doing that?
Well, and that's, I think, where it gets, to me, where I think the decision gets hard, because I think you could put Jacob Lopez or Joe Rock, and they would both be fine. Jacob Lopez came up, I think, a week or so ago and had a really nice start.
Yeah.
So I think either one of those guys who have been performing well in AAA could come up and make a start.
Okay.
Or
So-
a couple starts, maybe.
If we're doing that, then if we're happy with Lopez or Rock, let's say Lopez to come up and take a start and take Bradley down to the minors, what Bradley would need to do for me is develop a third pitch.
Yeah.
You would need a slider or something, just something that you can throw, 15% of the time, just to get people off that fastball and splitter, and gives them an extra option against righties, basically.
Yeah.
I would advise him against doing that at the major league level. I think it's kind of tough. Not many people develop a pitch mid-season at the major league level because the stakes are too high. You could do that if you don't care about the results. But I think the Rays are in a position where they do care about the results. So they're in a position where they have to go either we think Bradley is more likely to give you a good start in his current form than Lopez or any of the options in AAA. Or you go, we don't actually care about the results. We're giving up on the season. It doesn't matter if we win. Right now, the Rays are playing. What would you argue? Would you argue that keeping Bradley at the major league level in his current form is a win, like aggressive win now kind of move, or is this a like we want the draft pick type move?
I think objectively right now, Jacob Lopez or Joe Rock would probably do a better job than Bradley. And I don't think like long term that is necessarily the case, but at the moment, Bradley is just not where he needs to be right now. It is clear that the fastball has lost something in its height, and you're having issues there. You're not getting swings and misses on the other pitches enough. It's clear that something is amiss that needs to be dealt with. To me, if I'm managing in a win now type of situation, I'm going to Jacob Lopez or Joe Rock.
Okay.
And giving them a shot.
I don't disagree. Let's try and be Eric Neander and Kevin Cash. Let's do a little role play. I'm Kevin Cash, you're Eric Neander. Okay. Eric. I can't do this. Eric, we're trying to make the playoffs. We're only 6 games out, okay? Taj Bradley's been getting lit up. Why won't you call up Jacob Lopez or Joe Rock for me?
I need Taj Bradley to be a number 5 starter next year. I need him to have this experience. We got to make it work. I actually can't remember how Eric Neander's voice sounds. That's just what I think. But that's the argument to me. I need Taj Bradley to get his major league innings up, because you're going to, like, the best version of this team going forward has Taj Bradley as a 4-5 starter.
Okay.
Long term.
But innings in minor league starts surely like work the same on the arm as a major league start.
Yes, I think yes, but also you also can't I can't think of the word. You can't underestimate. That's the wrong word. I'm looking for a different word. It's a big deal to take a guy out of the major league rotation this late into the season that's been a consistent starter. And if you take him out, he's gone for the rest of the year. You're not bringing him back, in my opinion. Like if he goes down, he's down. You're not doing this. He's going down and staying down. What does that do to his mentality? That's where, if I was Eric Neander, I would say, what's that going to do to his mentality going through the rest of the season down to the minors? So
also, I've just had a mini epiphany. We're at the stage of the year where like the minor league season's about to wrap up anyway.
That is correct. I forgot about that.
So you can't really send him down to do games anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. I totally forgot about that. You're 100% right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably it too then, because you do need, because like realistically, you'd like him to pitch 120 plus innings this year, because that's what you are probably going to need him to do in the future.
Yeah.
You just need him to have done it as much as it may not be like feel good, you probably need it to happen.
Yeah. So we're just tanking the damage and hoping that he'll work something out.
And again, like, is it possible that of his whatever, let's just say he's got 3 or 4 starts left in the year. Actually, I'm not sure. I have to take a look.
Let's say
Probably
4.
maybe 4 starts. Is it possible one of those is like 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and you're like, that's good enough? Yeah, he could do that. The other 3 might give up a combined 15 runs, but he probably could get you 1 fine start there, and he maybe could get you 2. Maybe it's possible. I don't think we shouldn't. It's we're being a little unfair to him. The Padres are pretty good. It's not like he got lit up by the A's, which he may have. I can't remember if he pitched against the A's or not. I don't think he got lit up by the A's if he did. If he did, but
let me crunch the numbers.
But he definitely got lit up against the Padres. But again, like that, Manny Machado, Jurickson Profar is having a really nice season.
You know what? He did okay against the A's. He went 5 innings, 3 runs. No, 6
Xander
innings, 3 runs.
Bogaerts, Luis Arias. There's good. Like this is a pretty good Padres team. So it's there's probably I mean obviously if you're watching the game right now, Pepio did not have such a good day. Although I'm going to blame a little bit of that on the umpire. Because he threw way more pitches than he should have thrown because he was walking guys. Some of that was his fault. Some of it, I think, is the umpire's fault. But Pepio didn't have a good day either. He didn't even make it through 4 innings, and he gave up. I think he's going to get tagged for that last earned run.
Yeah, so that'll be 3.
Yeah.
3 runs.
So, I mean, the Padres are pretty good. That just kind of is what it is. Could you still win this last game, though? You absolutely could. And that's what you need to do as we're kind of wrapping up the week of games. You got to find a way to win this game somehow and get to that Minnesota series with only 6 games back. That's where you got to go.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's do that. That's a good plan. Something else you should do is I think at least, once a year, much like I think the Rays are probably doing now, is you should just take a look at what's in your tool chest. The Rays have a lot of tools that they're kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do with them, how they're going to make them work. And in the same way, I think once a year, you should go take a look at your wardrobe and say, am I happy with what's in my wardrobe? Am I happy with what's going on there? Should I make some changes there? And which if you come away from that and you say, I think I could make some improvements somewhere. I think I need a corner outfielder of T-shirts in my wardrobe. I think I might need a little improvement at shortstop in hats. I can help you with that. Shop.rblrsports.com, where you can get the best gear for the Rays, the Bucks, the Lightning, and the Rowdies. Buck season starting up very, very soon. You want to have the best gear to support your local teams. Go to shop.rblrsports.com. And when you go there, you can use promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, for 10% off everything there. Shop.rblrsports.com, promo code FLAPPY for 10% off.
You can be happy and flappy at the same time, which
Happy
is
and
what
flappy.
what we all aspire to achieve.
Yes.
Really in life there's like a Venn diagram. Okay, there's happy, and then there's flappy, and then in the middle we've got Valhalla is essentially what we've got.
Valhalla.
I don't know why I decided to pick Viking folklore, but this is what I'm on today. But you can be happy and flappy at the same time. So I think we all want to reach Valhalla. So let's do that at RBLR Sports Shop.
Let's do that. Let's do something else. Let's do Bat and Arm of the Week. Pat, what is our RBLat of the week? Because we are in agreement this week.
Yes, we are. We're in a consensus, and we had a really good performance from this guy, and that is Josh Lowe. J-Lo himself came through with the goods this week. He hit to a 253 WRC plus, which is that's better than what Aaron Judge has been doing this season. It may have only been in a week, but he also put half an F1 up as well. He had a really good series against the Mariners. Hit a couple of bombs, drove in 3 runs. It's everything you want to see, because something that has been troubling about this Rays offense is the lack of Josh Lowe in it, because he was a big run producer for us last year. And to see him start to round out into hopefully a sustained run of form will be huge for the team, both now in this final playoff chase, but also for his prospects in 2025 in trying to anchor a still very fluctuating lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly what you could hope to see as we end this season is him getting back on the horse. I'm just gonna ignore the 636 BABIP and just pretend it's not there. I'm gonna ignore the 37.5% K rate, pretend it's not there, and instead look at the 409 ISO, which is awesome, and the amazing WRC plus. The truth is we need to see some people getting some results here. As much as we talk about the process and how important it is very important. Some results would be fantastic. And Josh Lowe got some great results last week. And it's exactly what we need to see as we're, looking ahead to see what, 2025 might look like. J-Lo should be a huge part of that. He's the bat of the week. Well-deserved.
Yeah. And you know what? To counteract your BABIP point, as a bit of copium, do you know what has 1,000 BABIP every time? A home run.
That's a really solid point. I cannot argue with that one.
So when you're absolutely scolding the ball, you're going to have a high BABIP, I feel. And that's what Josh Lowe was doing. Who is our RBL arm of the week this week?
The RBL arm of the week this week is somebody that I am very glad to be able to say his name in this context, because it is somebody that we miss dearly all year long and are very, very glad to have back. That's Jeffrey Springs, the Carolina Reaper himself. He has returned 5 innings pitched, 0 runs given up, 0.77 FIP, 0.3 FWAR put up in one start. A great performance. We need to continue seeing more of him, and we hope to see him continue to improve and get back to where he was last year throughout the rest of the season. It is so, so good to see Jeffrey Springs back. He is the arm of the week.
Yeah, it was a vintage Springs performance if I ever seen one. It's exactly as you'd chalk it up. 5 shutty innings, bunch of strikeouts. What more could you possibly want? The Carolina Reaper, we love him. And again, luckily, I think the rotation and the bullpen are like the least of our worries between now and the end of the year, especially while Jeffrey Springs is in it. Essentially, he and McClanahan are going to be the guys that we're going to bank on the most over the next couple of years. And the fact that Springs has come back from a very difficult thing to come back from and still be good, and just picked up right where he left off, is music to my ears. It's one of my favorite storylines of the whole season.
Oh yeah. 100%. I'll also give a quick shout out to Drew Rasmussen, the other guy who is making his way back. He had a nice week, pitched 6 innings, which is tied for the most innings pitched this week by a Rays pitcher. In 3 games, went out and gave 2 innings pitched in each one. Not the best ever numbers. I mean, he had a 3 ERA, 0.1 WAR over the week. The FIP's a little high, but he went out there. He's kind of, taking a lot of innings that should have gone to starters, but because we've had some injuries, he's been able to kind of come in there and give you those needed innings. So really, really good performance from Drew Rasmussen this last week. It's good to see him coming back as well.
Yeah, it's quite nice to see him essentially taking on what is a starter's workload, just in like smaller chunks. Yeah. So he's still a valuable pitcher that will give you innings. It's just it's not all in one go now. It's in like little chunks, which is still really valuable. Multi-inning relievers are great. We need those.
Yes, we do. So we need him, and we got a good one in Drew Rasmussen.
Yeah, so I'm glad to see him back. Even if he never returns to a starting capacity, he could still be a pretty good reliever.
Yeah, and if that's all he ever becomes, and he just kind of becomes just a really good multi-inning reliever for us, I'm pretty happy with that.
Me too. Okay. I guess we should see how on earth we're supposed to navigate the rest of this season.
Well, honestly, I think it's kind of simple. You just sweep the Twins and then let it ride.
You know what? That's so true. They should call us into the locker room after the game today. We should go, right, guys, we figured it out. We crunched the numbers. The best way to make the playoffs is to win your games.
Think about it.
Winning. We are the smartest dog in baseball, and we found out that winning games is the best way to make the playoffs and win the World Series.
Consistently results in you making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Very consistently.
Fangraphs has us at 2.3% odds on making the playoffs. Which,
so you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. Unfortunately, odds didn't exist. Fangraphs didn't have publicly available playoff odds in 2011, when we were 9 games back at this time, and still made the playoffs. It would have been smaller.
That's true. 100%. It's not impossible.
The Twins series can't be overstated. Do you think Kevin Cash needs to go all in on this series and I don't care about any development. I don't care about any process. We just gotta go for this, play our best players. Just as soon as the starter's shaky, get the good book, get Usader in, how aggressively do we need to go for this Twin series?
I mean, as much as I would love to say yes to that, it's we absolutely have to do that. Unfortunately, there are more baseball games to play after that, and the baseball games after that are very, very hard. Because you got to go to Baltimore, to Philadelphia, to Cleveland after this series. Cleveland for 4, by the way. So as much as I'd love to just super aggressively say let's just get into this and manage it can't really do that, because otherwise you're going to be in big trouble in those, series after. So that being said, I think you can be a little bit more aggressive from a lineup perspective, and I expect to see the lineups be very aggressive, and try some things and really, try to put the best team possible out there. I don't really think Kevin Cash doesn't do that, but I do expect to see some very like lineups that are as good as they can be for the Twins series. I think they know it's important. It's their last home series for about a week and a half, and then if you can come home from that series, still in that, 2-3 games out of a playoff spot position, which you'll hope to be if you play really well versus the Twins, you go into those last couple series, the last 4 series of the year are 2 of them, you play 4 series, 3 teams, you play the Red Sox twice. Of those 3 teams you play, 2 of them are currently ahead of you in the playoff race. So you've got your opportunities to get the wins you need to get into the playoffs. The question is, can they put themselves in that position by playing really well versus the Twins? And then can they keep their head above water on the road after that?
They're bringing their guys. They're expecting Littell is going to come back off the IL.
Yes.
Then you got Springs. Then you got Bradley. And then you got Baz. Is how it's lined up.
Yeah. Now, it would be interesting to see how Uceda and Rasmussen get used leading into that game, because I could see a world where we talk about aggressiveness. There is a possibility where you could say Bradley's on a super short leash and you can bring in Uceda and potentially Rasmussen after that if you need to fill innings. I could see that potentially happening. But it is tough because right now, Uceda is kind of your closer. At least he's acting that way right now because Pete Fairbanks is still hurt. He did just start playing catch. A little update on that. He did start playing catch. So, we hope to have him back sooner than later. But he's definitely not going to be back for the Twins series. So, you're relying on, Garrett Clevenger, Uceda. Colin Poche is injured as well. He just went on the 15-day IL with left shoulder inflammation. So you get Biggie back up from Durham. So, he's got a big arm, but we need to see him put it together a little bit. So it's definitely it's a challenging situation from the bullpen perspective because you're missing Poche and Fairbanks both. But I do expect him to be as aggressive as he can be in this series.
Yeah. We're at the point now where for the next week, it's a result-based industry, like by hook or by crook. If you don't take 3 of 4 at the minimum,
yeah,
are we saying season's over?
It's hard to say a season's over because you have no idea what the Twins are going to do. I'm going to say if you don't take 3 out of 4, though, it's not looking good. I will say this though: if you do not take 3 out of 4 or better, there's a very good chance that the conversation that we're having next Sunday is let's get the offseason started, folks. Because if you don't do well against the Twins and then you roll into Baltimore and don't do well, that might be wrap on the season. That could be a wrap. But if you pull out a really nice series against the Twins, maybe you can build some momentum into Baltimore, split the first 2 games and somehow steal the getaway day game in Baltimore. We can dream up scenarios where this works out. Is it likely? No. We've gone far beyond the idea of likeliness as far as the playoffs come with the Rays. Is it possible? It is possible. It's just going to take some of these, young guys, Caminero, Christopher Morel, Josh Lowe continuing to stay back in form. Maybe Brandon Lau gets really hot. That it's going to take something like that, because I think the pitching will be good enough. We just need a couple bats to get hot, and but that's the case for really any playoff hopeful type team. Somebody's got to get hot if we're going to make the playoffs. And the good thing about this team is there are candidates out there. There are guys you can look at and say, hey, if they get hot, I could see it happening.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to throw a hard-hitting, data-driven piece of analysis at you, but we're due. Surely we're due for a run, because we've not had a run all year.
Yeah.
So we got to do it. It's now or never, folks.
Yep. This is it.
Watch what's baseball this week.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's going to be glued to TV screens this week. If you can somehow find a way to get 4 runs at least, because currently that's how many runs the Padres have, and get out of this game with a win, then it's, find a way. Find a way. You said hook or by crook. Absolutely. Find a way to win some games here.
Yeah, that's all we can do. And yeah, let's cross our fingers. It's going to be a wild ride. I think every week we're going to be coming on here. Either any week from now, we could either be like, we're so back, or we'll be saying it's so over, and there'll be no in between at this point. I think we can't, as a team, I think we can't stay on the maybe train anymore. I think we've got to make a declaration of we're so back or we're so over as of next week.
I think really, and I think you're 100% right. All I am asking for from this Rays team for the rest of the year, I'm not even asking them to make the playoffs. I'm just asking for when the calendar strikes September 15th, the last day of that Guardian series, can we be still in the hunt then? If we can do that, if we can go into that Boston series with a chance, I'll be okay. I'll be all right. No matter what happens to end the season, I'll be okay. Because at least we had, it will have some fun games in those couple series. And maybe we'll ruin Boston season along the way. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be fun.
Nice.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy that.
Do we have any other things that you'd like to talk about?
We talked about it kind of while we were discussing kind of the future, the transactions. Poche injured, Littell coming back. The other one that I wanted to talk about, Driscoll's coming up. Aranda also is now with the team. That happened last week. I'm really interested to see Aranda. Excuse me, especially now that I expect him to be up for the rest of the year. This is kind of it, man. We need to start seeing something from you. Like, you've been a quad A dude. I felt bad for him because he got hurt and was unavailable for so long. It's time to start seeing something. Maybe Aranda is the guy that gets hot. That'd be crazy. Like,
it could be.
But he's a left-handed bat who's crushed the ball at every single level. Is this his time where he just gets hot and finds a way to score some runs and help this team make the playoffs? It'd be a great story.
Yeah, and he, in his rehab in AAA, he was mashing too. Yeah. So he's on it. He's on form. And you're right that it kind of feels like it's put up or shut up time for Aranda. Yeah. I do worry about having Yandy, Morel, and Aranda on the same team at the same time, because they're all positionless. I guess Yandy can play.
Yandy's good defensively at first. Yeah.
You can't move him. You can't move him anywhere else.
And if that's as much as I think it's been fun to watch Morel's bat, even though it's been a lot of swing and miss there, it is approaching Harold Ramirez levels of I don't want to see you in the field with Christopher Morel, which is not good.
the opposite of the gold standard. Once you hit
That-
Harold Ramirez level, it's over for you.
It's over, unfortunately. So let's just hope that Morel figures it out with the
Yeah.
bat, so we can justify the questionable glove end. Well, the arm I think is okay. It's the glove that is just kind of not good.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the problem is, like, Morel, you'd want him to DH. That means Yandy plays first. Where does Aranda go? Second? And then where does Lau play?
Allow could
Left
yeah. Yeah, well, and honestly, like, I don't think Morel and Aranda play at the same time, probably.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that. I think that's because that's a really good point, because I don't know where you'd put either. Somebody's going to have to play a position where they shouldn't be playing, probably, if that happens. Maybe you can just stick Morel out in the outfield and hope nobody hits a ball that way, and just say just go over there, let Siri come, just play Siri over there. You got to play Siri into Luca, and just say, hey, if you need to go over there, go over there. But
It's little league rules. When they're like, hey, you just go in right field, and we'll like nobody will hit a ball over there. Hopefully.
let's just hope for that. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's a good conundrum for people at home, I think, that should let us know on the social medias, particularly the YouTube comments is the best place to reach us. How do you solve the puzzle of fitting in Morel, Aranda, Yandy, Bilau? Like, how do you solve the puzzle of finding a position for everyone?
Yeah.
Let us know on the socials. You can find them there. You can also let us know on YouTube. You should subscribe to us on YouTube as well, in fact, because it is the place that will let you know whenever we're going live or a new episode is being posted, not just of the Rays show, but also of the Bucks, Lightning, and Rowdy shows as well. So you'll never miss a beat in these exciting Tampa Bay sports times that are coming our way. So that's my recommendation. That's my homework to all of you now that school's back in session.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you think the Rays are going to make the postseason. Let us know what you think the path is. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we appreciate everybody who stick around and watch with us while the game's going on. We hope that the Rays can pull it out. Like, I'm always going to I'm never going to give up until it's mathematically impossible. I'm not giving up, because that's just not how I'm built. I'm going to keep believing in this team having, even a shadow of a chance, because it would be very entertaining to watch, and I'm just gonna keep believing. So if you're ready to believe along with us, stick around. If you don't believe, that's okay, but we're gonna keep believing here at the RBLR Rays podcast.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. If we can do it in 2011, we can do it in 2024.
Absolutely. And we're gonna do it every single week for the rest of the season. We're going to stop doing it for today, though. And if you've enjoyed the show, once again, do us a favor and drop us a follow. We appreciate everyone sticking around. It's going to be a wild ride, however it ends. We're just glad you're all going to be here. Raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLI Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.
On the edge with just 6 to lose, Rays gotta win 22. No room for excuse. Every pitch counts in this final stretch. We feel that fire light like a burning wretch. 22 to glory, 6 losses left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live. Sweating blood on the field, no time to be afraid. We chase that playoff dream in twilight's last parade. Fans scream in the stands, we've got no choice but fight. The diamond glows at dusk, victory in our sight. 22 to glory, 6 losses left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live. loss is left to give. Ignite our hearts, we soar. Together we will live.